Yeah. So thank you all again for being here today as we celebrate Rotary Peace Corps Week. We have at least 3 returned Peace Corps volunteers on the call today, and the father-in-law of a returned Peace Corps volunteer, Kim, Jamal, John's daughter-in-law, and I have all served in the Peace Corps, and Suzanne, who's visiting with us, also is a returned Peace Corps volunteer. And as you know, Rotary and Peace Corps have a partnership, and if you read your Rotary magazine this month, you saw a great article about that, and that's what Kim's going to be sharing with us today. So I'm going to share a little bit about Kim and then turn it over to Kim. She is the board chair for Partnering for Peace. Kim Dixon joined the Peace Corps after a successful career with IBM and as an OCM consultant. She was responsible for sales training at the IBM Atlanta training facility for several years. She served Peace Corps in the Republic of Georgia in 2016 to 2018, and then returned to Georgia to support 2 additional projects outside of the Peace Corps. She received such a warm welcome from the Rotary clubs in Georgia, of course, in their native language, that upon returning home, she joined the board of Partnering for Peace, Friends of Peace Corps and Rotary, and is currently president. This organization supports the formal MOU between Rotary International and the U.S. Peace Corps, with over $1,020,000 identified completed joint projects between the 2 organizations. This grassroots partnership continues to grow. This week is Rotary Peace Corps Week, and Rotary International is reaching out to clubs around the world to stimulate additional connections and joint projects for service above self. Kim is married and lives part-time in Raleigh after having raised 2 children there. She's a member of the Midtown Raleigh Rotary Club, a Goodman Fellow, and has served on the boards at National Association of Women Business Owners, St. Raphael Church, and others. So I've been communicating with Kim by email for a while, and I'm really, really excited to hear what she has to say for us all today. So Kim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think you said everything. I don't have to say anything else. Really delighted to be here. I love your club and I love your attitude, and it's really great. And like I said, I love Atlanta, and haven't been down there for a while now. So yeah. So let me get started. This week is Rotary Peace Corps Week, as you know, and we're just kind of coming to the end of it. And there's been so much synergy and just discussion and relationship building, and that's the most important thing, and that was the whole goal of this week, and this was the whole goal of Partnering for Peace. So I'll get into that, but first, really that familiar with Peace Corps, I'll touch a little bit on that, and then I'll show you how I worked with Peace Corps, and I'm a newbie to Peace Corps. Whoops, I don't want to do that. I want to do the hold on. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. So let me get started here. So I am a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Georgia. That's what I was saying, that I was pretty new to Rotary, but I connected with the people in Georgia. I wish I had connected with the people before I left, and that's what we're really pushing for now, but I'll talk about that. And after I left Georgia, I was so sad and had reverse culture shock, which Jamal, Paige, and Suzanne understand really well, that I went back to work on 2 more projects independently. One was one that you'll be interested in. It was the first hospice in Georgia. So I was really proud of that. And it's run by a convent. So Peace Corps, is non-governmental, non-religious, they're just there to help everybody. So let me talk to you first a little bit about Peace Corps, in case you didn't know, and tell you my personal experience there. So Peace Corps was founded by John F. Kennedy 60 years ago this year. So we are celebrating the 60th anniversary, which I'm delighted to be part of. Actually, NPCA, the National Peace Corps Association, which is kind of our alumni organization, they're having a big conference this week in conjunction with us. So that's worked out really well. There's 240,000 returned Peace Corps volunteers. There were 7,000 that were in 2019. Much to everyone's chagrin, it was a sad day, but of course necessary. A couple more things about Peace Corps. President Kennedy felt that if you were going to be in a small remote village where we all were by yourself, which we most were, we weren't hanging out with other Americans, you needed to know the language. So for 3 months of training, the first 3 months that you're there, you have, I had language training 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was dreaming in the Georgian language. And at the end of the 3 months, if you aren't an intermediate level proficiency, they send you home. So, and I'm not good at languages, so it was really a great mental exercise. It put off Alzheimer's for at least 10 years, I think. We served 27 months as a volunteer, and there's 6 sectors, which you'll see. The average age is about 26, and between 5 and 20% of the volunteers are 50. It just depends on the year. And this is me in my village that I'll talk about with my son and daughter came to visit me. So that was really special. They're the 2 blondes. My late husband was a redhead kind of. So, the second program that Peace Corps has, response program, and this is a really cool program that a lot of Rotarians are interested in. It's 3 to 12 months. It's more technically focused, and the average, I can't see it, but I think the average age is 47. So it's really for more experienced, more technically trained people that can go in. For example, I do a marketing plan for a national park in Micronesia for like 6 months. It would have been so much fun, but it didn't work out. So I serve a economic development and community development volunteer in a IDP settlement, a refugee camp for the people that were in South Ossetia when Putin invaded in 2008, and he burned churches down, burned the homes, burned the apple orchards, which were famous, and burned the vineyards, and shot people that didn't leave. I mean, he wanted that land. So 2,000 of those people moved to a former Russian military in another part of Georgia. We're about maybe an hour south of the capital, Tbilisi. And we all lived in these 5-story cinder block buildings that was prevalent across the Soviet Union. And they renovated them into small apartments, which was great, instead of, just dorm. And I had a small kitchen. I had a Western bathroom, sort of. And we had water 3 times a day. And the most incredible people, I can't tell you, just positive, optimistic. They had lost so much, and it was just a humbling, inspirational experience for me. And that's what it is for all the Peace Corps volunteers. It's a personally profound and transformational experience. And I'd encourage anybody at any age to go serve, either that or one of the other service organizations around the world, and Rotary has them as well. But it was definitely something. Okay, so I'll give you just I could talk all day about Georgia, but I have to talk about Partnering for Peace. So really quickly, Georgia, for those of you that are geographically challenged, this is in the top right corner. This is Georgia. See the dark mountains? This is a great satellite picture. I think it's beautiful. So the upper Caucasus are where those mountains are. The lower Caucasus are below it, and the valley in between is Georgia. So Georgia is mostly mountains and a little bit of valley. On the right is Azerbaijan, which is mostly desert and of course has a lot of oil. I'll come back to that because it's important. It's a Muslim country. And then Armenia is below us, Turkey to the left, the Black Sea, and then all the top is Russia. So it's a real interesting area. Georgia was famous as kind of the Florida of the Soviet Union back in the day. It, first of all, invented wine. You can Google it, honest. They invented wine, and they even have qvevris, which is what they make the wine in underground. And they found seeds that were 8,000 years old. And those same seeds are the ones that they eventually made their way to Greece, Italy, and Egypt. So here's my host grandma stirring the wine for 3 months before it's ready. Hachapuri, the food is also famous. The best restaurants in Moscow are Georgian restaurants. It was really amazing. The language over there in the middle left, the 7 original alphabets in the world, only 7. And they're very proud of their heritage and their language, their Orthodox, Georgian Orthodox religion, not Russian Orthodox. They have their own patriarch. On the bottom here are some projects that I did while I was there. As Peace Corps volunteers, we don't lead, we facilitate. They were farmers and they were in this terrible area. You could hardly grow anything, but they could because they were farmers. So, but they did need water. So we finally were able to proposals together and drilled 2 wells that are still going today, and they're doing pretty well in organic farming actually, because it brings in a premium price. The 5 men in the middle are the elder council of my my area, my settlement, elected from each of the buildings, and they kind of ran the place as much as they could, would escalate problems to the local municipality, the local government, etc. It was really just an honor to meet with these people, and each of them has a story that they would share with me, while I was there for 2 years. Not at first, of course, but after we became friends and neighbors. And it's just something you just wouldn't want on anybody. Just really amazing people. Remember the sewing machines, because I'll come back to that. That's one of my first Rotary projects. So I had heard about Rotary and knew about it a little bit from Raleigh, where I've been living for the last 25 years, I guess. And actually, I tried to get excuses to go to the Capitol every once in a while because I eat. We didn't have much meat in the village, and when we did, it was some kind of celebration. So I wrote the Rotary clubs and said, "Can I come to one of your meetings?" And they were as gracious, as kind as can be. And I'm highlighting right here, Tbilisi Rotary International of Tbilisi. This is one of the Rotary clubs in the country. The country has about 3.5 million people, and it's not that large, so it's a pretty small country, as you saw. And you can check that out on Google Maps too. Georgia is considered part of Europe, and it has the highest death rate in all of Europe. And Kremo-Kartli, which is where the region that I lived in, had the highest neonatal death rate in Georgia for various reasons. And Dr. David Kirkvadze, who wrote this article, he was the president of the Rotary Club at the time, had a global grant to teach nurses and doctors how to take care of these babies, and also had equipment donated. So the result has been excellent. They're doing well. They continue to support them. And that was the beginning of what I call the long and lasting friendship. Just wonderful people. After my meeting with them, they said, hey, we've got a problem maybe you can help us with. Somebody donated 12 sewing machines from America when they brought over this medical equipment, and they didn't know what to do with them and how to distribute them. So I wrote to my 53 co in Georgia at the time and asked them if they wanted to, if they needed a sewing machine, but they had to show me how they could leverage that into training people, you know, how to sew, to, you know, to help their families, to make money, training other people's, etc. So, and then even more important, and TVs will understand this, they helped me deliver the sewing machines. We aren't allowed to drive in the Peace Corps, and transportation is tough all over the world. I'm sure Jamal can confirm that. But then afterwards, I tried to get a pamphlet, a pregnant pamphlet, published in Azerbaijani. We had a large Azerbaijani minority in our area, and that's part of the reason why the rate was so high for newborns. They were Muslim and they wouldn't go to the Christian doctors and didn't really understand what their rights were in the country in Georgia. So this pamphlet kind of told them what they could do and where to go, etc. So I couldn't find a translator we could afford. My budget was tiny. And again, the Tbilisi International Rotary Club stepped up, translated it, printed it, and then distributed it through their network, which had a lot more credibility than I did, of course. It was just fabulous. Likewise, they had a health fair, and I had volunteers in these rural areas, you know, volunteer friends in these rural areas, and they needed help manning the booths. I was back in the States by that time, but I just wrote, you know, you can go online and get the country director in whatever country, you know, you're interested in, and wrote them and said, hey, you know, can you help these folks out? And the country director sent a note to the volunteers, and they, of course, had a flood of volunteers that were willing to help out. And it goes on and on today. I have more examples, but they even came to Raleigh, some Georgians, to visit me, and we connected. It was great. So why was this partnership so immediate, and why were they so welcoming to me? Well, this is why. This is just amazing. If you look at Rotary's 7 areas of focus, and I've got the new, I'm proud of it, compared with the Peace Corps 6 sectors, you'll see that they're almost virtually the same. I tried to color code them a little bit, like, you know, our health falls into a couple different ones. Youth and development falls into water and sanitation a lot, as well as the environment, peace building, et cetera, et cetera. Community development, you know, I've got to recolor my things with the new logo, but they're virtually the same. And that's what we found. It was just such a symbiotic relationship immediately. That was exciting. Yeah, it was great. I could go on and on, but I won't. When I came back to the States, eventually I was really lost. I didn't want to go back to IBM. It just didn't hold any appeal for me anymore. And I looked for work in different areas, and I did some, you know, independent consulting, and I looked for places that I could serve in America. I was happy to serve, but, you know, America is full of issues and problems, and I really wanted to help here. And I just fell in with the Rotary clubs here in Raleigh and started doing things. It was like a gift. You know, I'd open up my email, you know, and I would say, we're doing Jimmy Carter's, page.
Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat. We're doing Habitat this Saturday, and we've got a fundraiser on Monday, and we're working at the Jazz Festival selling watermelons on Saturday. And it felt like a gift to me. It was so easy to just fall in with people that were like-minded. It was astounding. So a person in Western Carolina put this together. And he talked about, of course, you all know the Rotary side, Interact, Rotaract, Rotary for Life. And then there's a prep school, and I think there's one in Atlanta, which is a Peace Corps prep school. And they're all around the country that work with colleges to help people that want to know more about Peace Corps and how to prepare. And then PCV's Peace Corps response program, of course, which is anytime, any period of your life, and because it's shorter duration, and people have flip-flopped between the two of them. We had a session on Wednesday evening that was recruiters from Peace Corps agency, and they talked about and really got a lot of interest from Rotarians that were interested in serving 2 years or 6 months, whatever. So Partnering for Peace, my organization, is simply a way to connect Rotary and Peace Corps volunteers and return Peace Corps volunteers. We're a 501c3. We don't really collect money. You can
501c4.
And because it's free, but we really are here for awareness, education, and outreach. We're not a 501c3, we're a 501c4. We're part of the National Peace Corps Association. So we connect with all of the RPCV groups around the world, around the country, and some around the world. And we work with closely with the Peace Corps Agency and with Rotary International, who have both been phenomenal in supporting us. We've got a toolkit on our website, partneringforpeace.org, that shows you how to work with Peace Corps volunteers, and a guidance thing, because they're a government agency. And for the Peace Corps volunteers, how to work with Rotary, and we have a whole toolkit. We've identified over $1 million in joint projects, but I think we're just scratching the surface. And besides just the money, it's the thousands of hours of joint work, and all the examples that I had, most of it was the work that the people, not the money so much, but the money helps too. Ideas of joint. I talked to Raleigh about TCP Global, which is a microloan organization. It's an NGO out of Miami, Florida, begun by an RPCV in Colombia. And then she partnered with Grove Rotary Club and started, you can see the picture up here. So now they're really spread out through South America, Africa, and they just started in Nepal. And they have a fabulous business model. My master's is in finance, so although I don't do finance too much anymore, I'm always intrigued by great business models. And this one has two goals. First of all, to provide affordable loans to impoverished entrepreneurs around the world. And secondly, to empower and strengthen grassroots organizations. So the whole loan program is managed by a local NGO. The Peace Corps volunteers can help identify good NGOs that aren't crooked, and the NGOs take responsibility and ownership of the loans, and they have a 98.9% return rate. I mean,
wow, that's unbelievable.
Isn't that unbelievable? Yeah. And once they turn the money They keep the money, and once they turn it twice, they're able to keep some of the profits. And so it helps the NGOs, and then the NGOs can support more community projects themselves. But the initial goal is to help entrepreneurs that are making money. Their newsletter is so heartwarming. And again, many of you I know can relate to this. When I read their newsletters, the top 3 things that they do with the profits, the entrepreneurs, number 1, they get their kids to school.
Yeah.
They can pay for tuition, for books, or for shoes, or for someone else to bring the water so the daughters can go to school. The second thing is for water projects, as we all know. And the third one, especially in Africa, is for those doggone stoves that don't poison everybody in the house, because they're still, have the wood fires in the houses. So, but that's TCP. It's just one example of a joint project. Other examples that people, especially this, have been talking all over the country, and a couple international talks as well. That people are looking at peace-centered focus. I know you all know about the eight peace centers around the world. We have one here in Raleigh-Durham, and I'm honored to be on the interviewing committee for my district. Of course, if you live in America, you can't go to the American Peace Center. You have to go to one of the other ones, and that's the same in the other countries. But engaging the Rotary and Peace Corps volunteers about the Peace Center opportunities is great. Conflict resolution, Thailand, and also some in Southern Africa, Rotary funded the conflict resolution training for PCVs, which was really successful. There's evacuated PCV community projects, and also Return Peace Corps volunteer community projects on the MPCA site, so you could look at a joint project. Reach out and find international Rotary clubs to connect with, and connect them to the Peace Corps office. Try to be that bridge like we're all trying to do. Some districts are doing peace conferences between the different groups. Give a Book they're going to talk about that tonight if anyone's interested. I'll talk to you about the webinars in a minute, but Give a Book is a great joint project where PCVs or evacuated Return Peace Corps volunteers are identifying small villages that could use English books, and then the Rotary Club carries the books down to one of the hot ones is Costa Rica, so they can spend a week in Costa Rica, meeting all the Rotarians down there, visiting the coffee plantations, having a good time. It's very popular. And also tonight, they're going to talk about this RPCV Satellite Club. So just some ideas. There's thousands of them, and it's really a grassroots effort. Is your hot button in your club, and whatever the Atlanta RPCV's hot button is, see what you have in common. Here's a list of more things, just organizing a happy hour. That's what we've done in my district. There's a picnic. The RPCV from North Carolina are having a picnic, so I've invited some Rotarians to come and join me there. Promote the partnership as much as you can. And I do have to have one person from your club join Partnering for Peace, and it can't be Paige. It has to be somebody else. So join Partnering for Peace. It's free, but you'll just get a newsletter, every once in a while to tell you what other people are doing in joint projects. So please do just go to our website. And of course, when the Peace Corps volunteers are back in country, there are so many things we can do. We can welcome them with a breakfast before they leave, a goodbye party, and find out what they're doing in country. If a club in Raleigh that had my back while I was in Georgia, mean, just somebody to zoom in with and speak English, you know, when I was feeling really down, and you know, guys know of what I speak. It would have been so special, and just shared what was going on, you know, potential needs we might have, but more just the synergy, you know, speaking at the schools. There's so many opportunities. So a lot of things once the Peace Corps volunteers get back into their country. On the left-hand side here, this is the 3 webinars this week. The first one was John Hugo. I was privileged to moderate this with John Hugo, who's the General Secretary and CEO of Rotary International, and Acting Director Carol Spahn of Peace Corps, about things to do together, and they both endorsed the partnership, which, by the way, was just approved this Monday. There was a big press release. So this Monday was approved for another 5 years or something. So everyone likes it, including the lawyers. On Wednesday, Wednesday night was the Peace Corps recruiters talking about the synergy between the programs. And then tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, there's 3 people that'll talk about joint projects that they've been successful in. And you can, again, go to, maybe Paige can share the link to how to sign up for that and register if you'd like to. And that's kind of closing out the week. Let's see. What did I forget? Oh, I could talk, but I'll stop and see if there's any questions. I think I'm over my time too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm sure there will be questions. So so if you want to stop sharing your screen so we can see everybody, and I can see whose hands are raised.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Mark, would you like to go first?
Hey, Kim. This is Mark Newman from Atlanta. Thank you so much.
Okay. Tell me.
Thank you so much for all you're doing. I'm director of international service for our small club, and so I am keenly interested in pursuing several of the topics you've raised, including the TCP organization that does micro lending, because we had a micro lending program here locally. So just I will email you offline and carry on a conversation. But my question is a political one, which is Rotary International is in fact an international organization and is, I think, perceived as Peace Corps is an American institution created by an American president and manned with American volunteers. Does that create any challenges for you in terms of what Peace Corps can do versus what Rotary International can do?
That's a great question. Is it Mark?
Yes.
Mark, great. I'll look for your email, please. That's a great question. We're starting in America, I mean, with the Peace Corps agency, figuring it all out. But there's RPCVs in Africa. It's called AfriCorps, and there are 2 women out of New York City. And you know, we could partner with them. Rotary International could partner with them. There is a European volunteer corps that I had some volunteers from Western Europe that helped me in Georgia. There are so many international organizations besides the Peace Corps that once we get our act together in America, we would hope, our aspiration would be to broaden that, because Rotary, as you know, has 1.3 million members and Peace Corps has 240,000 returned Peace Corps volunteers.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Yes, Jamila.
Yes, I was looking for the button to raise my hand, but
I thought I could actually physically raise my hand. So thank you for your presentation, Kim. That was very good. And I'm glad to know that I never knew Rotary and the Peace Corps had an agreement together. So my question is, when a Peace Corps volunteer goes, into a country, do you link them straight with the Peace Corps and with a Rotary club in that country, just for support, guidance, assistance? Is that something you do?
No, this is a grassroots effort. So what we're trying to do is bring the awareness to the Rotary clubs around the world. And I'm delighted that Rotary International, gave us so much press for this week. So raise the awareness, and then raise the awareness with the country directors in those countries. So, and it's up to all of us to reach out and make those connections. And if the recruiter in Atlanta knows you all are interested, connect with the recruiter, and then the recruiter can connect you with people and where they're going. Again, a government agency. They're really careful about safety and security, to the point that they won't even share where the volunteers are going. The volunteers have a decision. They're really strict about that for a variety of reasons you can imagine. But yeah, hopefully, we're also trying to get the training for the volunteers to include, hey, this is what the partnership is, this is what Rotary can do with you, reach out yourself, that type of thing. So we're doing everything we can, but again, they've got to do the work eventually. But good question. Yeah, Neil?
Yeah, what's the racial breakdown of Peace Corps participants worldwide?
The racial, let's see, I'm not really sure. I'm probably in Georgia, maybe, maybe 15% were Black. Maybe we had 4 Asians and 1 Hawaiian, and he was considered Georgians, which was interesting. The Asians had the biggest problem because Georgia had, for funny reasons, Georgia has had a lot of difficulty with the Chinese coming over and not understanding the culture. And so, for example, I'll give you a quick example. My host mother owned a tobacco shop, a little grocery store that there were 3 on every corner practically. And she sold her cigarettes for 2 lari, which is like 60 cents. And everyone else sold them for 2 lari. And I said, well, if you need more customers, why don't you lower the price to 1 lari 90? And you'd get a lot more service. I said, oh no, that's not how we do it. Because during Soviet times, you don't compete with other people. You only compete against the government, but you never you never compete with other people. And so she wouldn't do that. And then the Chinese came in and undercut everybody. And so they was just unacceptable. So it's a big problem. So it was a problem for the Asian volunteers, also a great opportunity for them to, kind of show a different side of things. And every country we're in has different challenges and different opportunities.
Thank you.
Another thing that we work with within the countries is the gay and lesbian attitudes. The volunteers, the locals would know that America is free and more open, and would approach volunteers with problems and questions, and and again, that's a fine line to give local young people support, but also to recognize what they're up against. So that was also it was just being part of a community wherever you are, you know, you're walking a fine line of support and oh my God, and spousal abuse. I won't even go into that. Yeah, so yeah, and we get a lot of training. Peace Corps gets a lot of training on how to, you know, what not to do and where to be careful and where to go for it, you know. That was more than you wanted. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And what's happening with all the evacuated Peace Corps volunteers? How many countries have actually opened back up and started accepting, or have any?
No, Paige, no, yet. They were hoping that we'd have 2 countries opened up by the end of this year. And they've been put, Belize was one and St. Lucia was the other one. And now they've been put on hold. And there's 2 problems. One is, of course, the resurgence of the Delta variant. The second one is Peace Corps requires a landing for Peace Corps volunteers that get sick. You know, so like in Georgia, they would fly, if someone broke their leg, they would fly them to Germany, for example, to a lot of, like Mongolia, they would fly them to Thailand, you know, where they had acceptable, you know, Western practices that were safe and secure. And they don't even have those right now. So that's one of the big issues. So we do what we can.
Any more questions? I think we have time for one more question before we wrap up. Well, thank you so much, Kim. We really, really appreciate you joining us today.
It's been an honor, really. I forgot to say, someone usually asks me, why do you keep calling it RPCVs? And Sergeant Shriver said, you're a Peace Corps volunteer. You're always a Peace Corps volunteer. Right, Jamal? Right, Susanna? You're always, and so we do our 3rd goal of trying to bring other people, understanding of other countries to America, you know, for the rest of our lives. And like Rotarians, you know, service before self for your life.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. We're so grateful that you were here with us today. In your honor, we will be making a donation to end polio, Rotary's decades-long effort that you are well aware of. So we will be doing that in your honor today for joining us. So we thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you all. It's been such a pleasure. I'd love to come down sometime and when we're back in person. I'd love to stop into a meeting.
Please do. You are always welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So I'm going to go ahead